Hey, this is Aaron from the band Blood of Angels, and you are listening to The Dan Chan Show.
So I'm joined by Aaron, guitarist from Florida, Tampa, Florida, metalers, Blood of Angels. How's everything for you this afternoon, mate?
Oh, absolutely wonderful. How's
Awesome.
everything for you?
Oh, great, mate. Thanks for asking. Very well. But you're in Tampa, right? That's a pressure pot of metal. I mean, it's a metal hot ground, right? Tampa?
Yeah, for the United States. Yeah, extreme metal. I mean, for extreme metal in the United States. Yeah, for sure.
It's a big boots to fill in that part of the world.
Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah.
So starting off,
I mean, it's a great if you love this genre of music, this is a city in America to be in.
What other cities would you suggest? Maybe upstate New York, something like that, or?
I mean, San Francisco. I don't know. I don't know how. It's not so much of a metal scene as it was historically, because that was the home of thrash.
Yeah.
The thrash metal genre.
Of course.
Yeah. New York City. New York City's good. It's way more eclectic and experimental. Very.
Yeah,
like kind of like a real artsy scene,
like Imperial Triumphant. That's that band, isn't it? They're like all over the place. Avant-garde jazz metal.
Yeah, and then you have the iconic bands like Suffocation and Immolation. I mean, they're up from that way.
Of course.
Texas is fantastic. Texas is fantastic. I mean, going through the whole state of Texas.
Yeah.
All those Houston, Dallas, Austin. It doesn't matter where. I mean, metal really thrives very well in Texas. The upper Midwest, the fandom is there.
Yeah, I'm going to have some questions later on about US and European metal and your thoughts on that. But we're going to crack straight on with telling me a little bit about the history of Blood of Angels. Tell me where you're coming from musically, influences, and how it all started for you guys, because you've been going a few years now, right?
Yeah, quite a few. 2017, going on 9 years. With this current lineup, 7 years.
Right.
Yeah, no, I started 20. My old band folded. And then I wanted to do something musically more heavier than what I was doing before. I mean, it was heavy, but it was kind of a compromise bridge into more an alternative and lighter genre. So I wanted to do something heavy. So I started Blood of Angels.
Yeah.
The first thing I did was an EP with basically session musicians. Because I had some songs written for what would have been the album of my old band.
Yeah.
And I got it out there. We put out a single through management on Odin's Wrath, which did really well. We won the Independent Music Award for Best Metal Hardcore Song in New York City, the Independent Music Awards. That was awesome. At Lincoln Center in 2018.
Yeah. Which track?
And then after that,
which track was that?
Oh, that was for Odin's Wrath.
Odin's Wrath. Yeah. Of course, yeah.
So kind of right off the bat, I mean, it kicked off really well. Then we had interest from booking agents and established management and things like that. And then I was like, wow, well, okay, I guess I should, instead of keeping this a studio project, I should really form an actual band and give it a go.
Yeah.
So I did. I got a hold of some friends here locally in Tampa that that have been playing in the scene for a long time, that are very good musicians. And then we came out with Failure of Faith in 2020, and we toured the United States with that album mostly. And then we dropped a single while we were working on our current album, Spillage, which also did really well as a single. For that one we won the first year they did the Hollywood Independent Music Awards in 2023. We won for Best Metal Hardcore Song with Spillage for that.
Great.
So that was really awesome and exciting. And and since then we finished up this album that we have coming out June 21st, Léonce de Thanatau.
Yeah.
Translation of the Fear of Death, in 4 different languages. And last September, we went to Europe for the first time. We did Poland, Austria, Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria.
Yeah.
10 shows over 3 weeks. 9 of them were sold out.
Amazing.
The audience in Europe seemed to have taken to our sound, which is something that I was a little nervous about, but very, very relieved that that they liked what we do. And now dropping a new album and going to do a tour in the States in August, and just keep moving forward.
So Starting as a project, so to speak, coming off the back of your last band, how was it? How easy was it to find musicians? Were they people you knew? Was it people from the scene? Was it completely, new blood, shall we say? How was that for you?
I mean, it was people from the scene. It was people from the scene, New Blood. I mean, there was I forgot. And it's been many years. I forgot his name now. But there was a vocalist I really wanted to work with, but he couldn't be. He didn't have the time to do it. But he recommended his drummer Kevin, who I got in. And he was the first one I worked with and did the tracks on that. Michael Stewart, who came in and did bass. He was from a motor grader, and he's someone I've known for years and years. In the scene, we've worked together, and Chris at the time was a local vocalist in the. Everything at that time was going on in Jacksonville, and I was driving from Tampa up to Jacksonville to work with these guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, originally I was just going to keep it just as a studio project, just for my own artistic, ways musically, because the music business can get really expensive. But
Hmm.
then after the, like I said, after the award win, and then I had the booking agents and management, coming out and asking me what we're doing and this and that, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is actually going to blow up for something for real. So,
Nice.
and then as far as my band here in Tampa, I mean, these are guys I've known for years. I mean, the Maggot, my bass player, was in my previous old band. He was my
Yeah.
bass player there. Jonathan was in multiple bands here in Tampa, and I knew his drumming skill, and we always got along great as people. So the
Mm,
personality. And
mm.
Randy was a friend of Jonathan's, who, when we decided to move on from Chris, he wanted to audition, and when he auditioned, he did a mushroom head song doing both vocal parts, hitting it out of the park. So I was like,
Right.
okay, well, hey, here we go.
Yeah.
This guy works out. So
Yeah. Nice. So you talk about the new album.
it came together. Been the same
Yeah.
for
Cool.
7 years now.
Yeah, it's cool. We talk about the new album because you've released two tracks quite a distance apart. You had, was it Minds of the Broken back in end of November, then just recently, even though it feels like a while ago now, at the end of January, The Last Rites. Tell me about these tracks. Tell me about how you've evolved as a band and how, as you've written, and tell me about the album.
Um, with 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 uh, with the album, basically what we wanted to do, I mean, so we like doing concept albums. So this album is really about yeah, the thing we have all in common, the thing we have all in common, love our loved ones and people passing away. It was kind of like after COVID. Jonathan's father passed away during that time. My mom came awfully really close. Thankfully, she was able, to pull through. And a lot of our friends were experiencing sudden loss of people. So the idea of the album is basically the different ways that we basically say goodbye to one another,
Right.
ritually, culturally, things like that, and express that commonality through lyrics and music.
Yeah.
My minds of the broken is in that part of the album is how a soldier has dealt with, for the perspective of a soldier, how they've dealt with the loss of their federal brothers and sisters in arms. And then The Last Rites, of course, is about like the final ritual, mostly pulled from the idea of Catholicism.
Mm,
The last passing before, last ritual before someone passes on into the
mhm,
next world, or the
mhm.
next life, or back to the earth, however your perspective is.
Yeah.
Um, and then we're going to release one more final single on the 21st of this month, Nevermore, and then the full album will be out on June 21st.
Nice. And when it comes to your writing, how do you write? Are you a traditionalist? Do you take care of everything, Aaron, or is it like a shared thing between you all?
This album was a shared thing in a lot of ways between us. I mean, I'm the foundation mostly. I'm the one who comes in. I have my guitar parts. I really have the songs. I really kind of have the arrangement on where in the direction I want to go.
Yeah.
And Maggie and Jonathan, put their thoughts into it, and their own playing into it. And then when we have a completed piece of music, Randy on this album took up the majority of the lyric writing on that, and yeah, overall, I think he really captured the spirit of the album overall and the theme of what we're doing, and did a really good job.
For sure.
It was very collaborative this time.
Yeah, that's cool. Tell me about your riffs. I mean, how do I say it? I mean, as a drummer, I can't. I'd love to have to play guitar and be able to do this, but as a guitarist, are you always coming up with riffs in your head all the time, or are you always kind of humming things into your phone? You know, how do you like to write riffs and tracks, shall we say?
It comes in various ways. There's times where I hear something. I don't know. I could be just driving my car and I hear something in my head,
Right,
and I'm like, oh, I've never heard that before.
right,
So sometimes the riffs are inspired from classical music. I do listen to a lot of classical music.
yeah,
Um, sometimes I hear something and a piece of from Vivaldi, or like a little violin thing, and then I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can do that. I can kind of borrow that a little bit, change it to the key of B minor, and so maybe slow it down a little bit, or slow down the beginning and then speed up in the mid, and work
yeah,
that way. Um, Other times I could just be like jamming out at home, just improvising at home myself, and then I'll come up with something and be like, oh, that's interesting. Let me build it into something from there.
Are you always playing? You play every day?
Most days, I wouldn't say every day, but most days.
Yeah,
Yeah, I try to dedicate 2 hours a day at
yeah,
least. But sometimes as always, as adults, life gets in the way,
of
and
course.
I can't always get on that schedule. But yeah, most days I try to adhere to a practice regimen.
I feel like you're quite a technical guitarist. Would you say?
I'll accept that.
Yeah, yeah. So I think you are. I mean,
I'll accept that.
from a naive
Yeah,
perspective, from my perspective, I love guitar, right? I can't play guitar, but I love guitar, but I can see some intricacies from you.
yeah. Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I've been at it for a long time. I've
Hmm.
done a lot of, I've done a lot of study, self studies mostly on theory. Which has really helped. I've really honed in on, what they call the circle of fifths or the circle of thirds.
Yeah,
Which has, over the years, every time I learn more, I become better. I'm also really heavily influenced by the blues, and the region I live in. Like I said, I
yeah,
live in the American South, and I mean the incredible rich history. Even here in my own city. I mean, from the late 1920s, 1930s, same generation of Robert Johnson, was an incredible songwriter who
mm,
wrote up to the day he passed away, called Tampa Red, and an incredible and amazing bluesman, and not I love that music from that period. I do listen to it quite a bit, and just the rhythm of, I mean, just the way rhythm and phrasing was done,
mm.
um through that period of time. I feel it's also very influential in my playing.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to either start guitar or is very intermediate? What would you say to, you know, as a bit of advice, maybe?
Study classical, study classical guitar. Yeah, you can learn that. You can pretty much learn anything,
Yeah,
but not exclusively. I mean, have your time for your classical studies and training, and then also pick up the electric guitar and apply those same principles into, if you want to play genre, metal, or even, even in punk, you can take a, even though punk is supposed to be stripped down and bare bones,
mm,
but you can take I mean, those principles and apply some of those theories into a punk rock chord progression and come up with something
yeah,
cool and new and different, So, and my third thing of advice is, just broaden your horizons outside your preferred genre.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, there's a lot of incredible things in jazz. You know, even though the golden age is past, but I mean, there's still a lot of great jazz musicians that are incredible. I mean, I wish I could recall his name because I'd love to give him some props. I mean, there's an acoustic jazz guitarist here in Tampa that is just, I mean, you know, he's playing the coffee houses and things, but he's just absolutely phenomenal, you know, and I try to catch him as much as possible, you know, for him to play and so broaden your horizons outside of your selected genre of profession.
This might play into this next. The answer to this next question from you is: who would be on your Mount Rushmore of guitarists?
Well, Randy Rhoads first.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the reason why I play guitar.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a story there. Let's see. My next one would be Christopher Parkening,
Yeah.
classical guitarist
Right.
currently. Yeah, I mean the most the best of the best. BB King, absolute revolutionary, and then let's see. I only have to. Motion Mode is only four, so I have to
Yeah.
pick four. So
That's
it's
it.
hard. God, yeah, yeah. Kerry King.
Yeah.
Kerry King to me, he's the master of thrash metal, and really, I mean, he's the one who, you know, his style, of course, Jeff Hanneman too, but you know, I
Mm.
think Kerry King mostly is what really inspired a lot of, you know, the death metal guys that, you know, that are here for, you know, that
Yeah.
came up from my city after him.
Yeah.
But if I can have one more, it would be Dino Cazares for Fear Factory,
Really technical.
and he's the reason why I play seven string.
Really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never really had the interest of it. I was like gimmicky. You know, some people. I know I've had people come to me. It's like, you must be a Korn fan, or you know, or if they're a progressive, you know, you must be a Steve Vai fan. And yeah, you know, I do like Steve Vai.
Appreciate
I
it.
mean, he's
Yeah.
phenomenal. You know, Korn. Yeah, I'm not much of a fan, but I mean, you know, they've had incredible success.
Mm.
But when I saw, it was during the Iron Maiden's X Factor tour, and Fear Factory was the opening band. That was the first time I saw Fear Factory live.
Yeah.
And when I heard what Dino was doing rhythmically, like the way he was using the seven string and
Mm.
the heavy, fast, aggressive way that he was, I was just like, oh man, I got it. That's what I do. I
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
so.
Legend. Now I've got to touch on it because obviously I'm mentioning it to my American guests of late. Obviously, US is in the situation it is right now. Love it or loathe it. I mean, is there anything that's coming in from the influences from what's happening, especially Florida State and all these different places? Is there anything like dripping into your music or into your anger or anything like that? Is anything cropping up from that?
Yeah, and some of the newer, you know, some of the newer songs that you know, that I'm kind of like playing with right now, you know, just writing some stuff. Yeah. So far, a couple of new songs that I've recently, well, one new song I've recently written is probably one of the most intense, heavy song I've ever written to this point.
Right.
You know, so
And do
there's
we have
that.
and we have the current situation to thank for that?
Most likely. You know, I mean, to be honest, yeah, my country is in chaos. It really is. I
Mm.
mean, it's really divided. Of course, we know how, you know, I mean, the whole world knows, you know, my government, unfortunately,
Mm.
uh, you know, with the exception of maybe our Secretary of State, who might be the only adult in the room, Marco Rubio.
Mm.
But I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, the rest of them have, I mean, have no concept of history, no concept of decorum. Um, I'm sorry. That's all I can
Yeah.
say to the
You know
rest
what?
of the world.
It's the reason I say that.
I'm sorry, and I will go on record saying I didn't vote for this. I
No, I
did vote
mean,
for the
it's
opposite.
interesting because whenever I was, sometimes I ask the question to some American guests, and they're like, sometimes they don't want to answer, and it's like, why are you not answering? And you're very open about it, and obviously there's so much going on. The rest of the world's watching. When you came to Europe last year, did you feel like any sort of like vibe, or did you feel a different kind of like freedom? Should we say? I know it's daft to say because America is land of the free, shall we say? But going to countries like Eastern Bloc, like Poland, and all these other countries you went to, how was the yin and yang for you on that? If that was the first time you went.
Yeah, it wasn't my first time in Europe, of course, but I mean, it was my first time
With
in
the band? Yeah,
well, I've been to Austria once before, but it was my first time going to Poland and Hungary, and then going to Romania and Bulgaria.
yeah.
Um, all I can say is that I mean, the reception from the people were warm and welcoming and wonderful. You know, I mean, the the food was incredible and natural.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, honestly, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I love the pace of Warsaw.
No, yeah.
Vienna
A great city. Great.
is probably the most elegant. I mean, from my experience, I haven't really traveled much in Asia, but from my experience, I can say is like the most elegant city I can honestly say,
Yeah, sure.
that I've ever been to.
Sure.
I know a lot of people give Paris a lot of credit. No,
No, I agree. I agree.
I think Vienna takes the cake on
Beautiful.
that.
It's beautiful
Yeah,
and expensive.
yeah, well, yeah, well, great cities are. I mean, my
Yeah,
city is my city has gone up. I mean, rent wise, like before COVID, you can get what do you call a flat for for 800 a month.
mm.
For like a regular starter flat. And now that same flat's about 1,800 a month.
Wow. Yeah. I was in the States last year. I went to the NAM show in LA. And then a few weeks later I had to come back. Then I had to go to Miami on the way to Colombia. And I couldn't believe how expensive things were in the States. And I hadn't been to the States since 2006 before that. And the cost of like
Right.
buying a beer like nearly $20 in a bar, and stuff like that. And it was just blew my mind. I was in LA. I know LA is expensive and Miami's expensive.
Yeah. LA is really pricey. I
I,
mean,
I'm in Barcelona. I pay €3 for a beer. You know what I mean? Anyway,
right.
enough of the tourism. You're wearing an English band T-shirt. I'm wearing an American band T-shirt. Who does metal the best?
Which metal's better, England or America?
Well, not necessarily. Well, let's put England within Europe as a geographical Europe, where we've left the
As a
EU.
geographical Europe, which is better?
Geographical Europe v US. Who wins on metal?
Um, I honestly, I would do this. I like more European bands than I do American bands.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan and a follower of European bands more so than American.
Okay. Like who? Maiden, obviously. You
Yeah, well, Maiden's my all-time favorite. I mean,
right.
ever since my dad brought home the Power Slave album when I was like 7 years old.
Awesome. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still love it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that whole new wave of British heavy metal movement, from similar to that time, Angel Witch,
Yeah.
Diamond Head. I mean, those
Class.
are great bands. Yeah, Blitzkrieg.
Yeah.
But yeah, currently, I mean, I love a lot of the bands out of Sweden. I love Amon Amarth, Dark Tranquility, In Flames, Arch
Yeah.
Enemy. The some of the black metal band out of Norway, Emperor,
Of course.
Enslaved, even though they're not in that black metal category, but I think Enslaved is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Jimmy
Yeah.
Borgir, Cradle of Filth, Halloween,
There you go.
Earthstein.
Yeah. It's a
Creator. I can go on and on and
it's
on.
a first round knockout, Aaron. It's a first round knockout. Your EU, the US. I'm sorry to say. Now let's move on because shows.
I mean, of course, we have great bands here, but
of course you do. No, of course. I'm not going to say of course not. It's just funny that I'm English, you're American. I'm wearing American top, you're wearing English top. It's funny.
Yeah.
But and I asked that question. But let's go into shows. Obviously, you talked about coming to Europe. What's happening to back up this album coming out in June, and what's happening? I've seen you got some dates locally, and you're going around the US. What's happening? Tell me.
Yeah, well, we're doing we're doing basically like a small 4-show run with Solias. It's they're a band from Canada. They're coming down. So we're doing about 3 shows in Florida. Then we're doing like 1 in Alabama with them. Yeah, the main thing is, like I said, we put out the new album June 21st. In August, starting August 13th, we'll be up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we'll be doing a U.S. tour, basically hitting mostly the upper Midwest in that area. We haven't been there in 3 years. We have a really good following in that area. I get a lot of messages every time I announce show dates or anything. When are you coming back to Michigan? When are you coming back? Yeah, it's time. It's more than time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be doing that. We'll end that tour in Nashville, which I'm really excited because it's not easy for metal bands to get a gig in Nashville.
Really? I can believe it, but is that
yeah,
zero metal scene? Or there is a metal scene, but it's niche.
I think it's just a small scene. It's just, I mean, country's king.
Of course.
That's where the industry,
Yeah,
base for country,
yeah,
for
yeah,
American country music is in Nashville.
yeah,
So a lot of the bar, a lot of the clubs and everything, they basically want you, a lot of them, they want you to be a country singer, to
yeah,
come in and not even do your own original country, music that you do, come in and sing, you know, sing Dolly Parton and Roy Orbison and Loretta Lynn and
yeah,
those
yeah, yeah,
songs.
yeah, yeah. I got you.
So yeah, but the fact that we got a gig in Nashville, not being an American country act, is to me is something.
So, what's a Blood of Angels show like?
Very high energy. I mean, I love getting into the crowd and intermixing with the fans. We bring is we use projector screens in our
Yeah,
shows, to bring in animation, different, basically different animation things in the background between the songs. We use fog machines and things for intros and stuff. We try to bring as much of a big show element as we can to the
yeah.
level of stages that we are.
I did enjoy that
You
video.
know,
That video you did. Oh, what's it called? I forget what it's called now. Where you did the montage of the gig and your fans and in the gig you did. Really cool video, and it really brings out your characters. You can see what the fans are like and everything. What's the video called? It's your band.
the montage one. Yeah, I think it was a mono. Yeah, we did for monotheism.
That
Yeah, the single
monotheism.
for
That's it.
failure.
That's it. That's it. That was a really cool video.
Yeah,
Really, gets the vibe of you all.
yeah, and that was fun here. That was done here locally in Tampa.
Do you have any pre-show rituals?
Jack Daniels. I
That's
mean,
it.
seriously, yeah. No, we don't, as a band, we don't believe in backstage. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
we don't we mingle. We get it. We get out there. We get with the people. We meet with everybody. We take selfies with everybody.
Yeah. Nice.
Uh, we're just an open book. We don't go hiding away or
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
Yeah. No elusiveness.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like it.
I mean, if anybody comes and pays to come see us, I
Yeah.
then they have every right to meet us and
Absolutely.
everything. And I'm
Very,
I'm glad we're very glad to give our time to them.
very cool. Well, I've got some fun questions just to see us out, Aaron. You ready for some fun questions? It looks
I'm
like
all for that. Yes, let's do
looks
some
like
fun questions.
looks like you can cope with this. Okay, what one song would you play every time you walk into a room for the rest of your life, and why? One track, like a walk-on song, shall we say? What track would it be? Heavily riffy? Would it go bluesy? What would you do?
Okay. Slayer's Rain in Blood.
Oh, really? Go with Slayer.
Yeah.
Classic, of course, of course. Okay, which fictional character do you identify with the most and why?
Oh, Pirates of the Caribbean, Jack Sparrow.
I love that.
No, I mean, basically being able to outthink the other person in a situation, and his sense of self preservation.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I have that in me.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. What's your unpopular musical opinion, Aaron?
Oh God, unpopular music opinion. I have a lot of unpopular musical
Okay,
opinions.
give me a number.
Let's see. I don't know how unpopular this is. If you need backing tracks to play your show, you're not a band. You're a glorified karaoke act.
Yeah, I'm with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. Okay, here's the next one. Should non-metalheads wear metal t-shirts?
I'm kind of double sided on this. Yes, one part of me says people should wear whatever they want to wear if they enjoy wearing it. At the same time, we are a culture, and we identify
We
ourselves
do. We
usually,
do.
bonded usually to shirts. There are times where I've traveled, like, somebody outside of the US and in Europe, like I'll bring it one time in Barcelona. I was wearing when I was in Barcelona, I was wearing a Slayer tour shirt, and there was a guy who was wearing like a Death Scream Bloody Gore shirt. And I was like, it's like, oh, my my metalero hermosa,
Yeah. Yeah.
so, and I mean, and he goes, and he pointed at my shirt, I pointed at his
Yeah.
shirt, we shook hands and hugged, and
That's it.
and then we had a drink because we actually had a drink together,
That's brilliant.
because yeah, that in a way, I mean, that's how, it's metal.
It's,
It's our own global subculture,
yeah.
and and it's kind of like our uniform.
Our uniform. Yeah, I was going to say it's our uniform.
Sort of
Yeah.
thing where we can identify people. I mean, I've met people, again, wearing wearing metal shirts. I've met other metalheads in Paris, who told me about and they were the ones who told me about the Hellfest Club in Paris.
Yeah.
And then I went to the Hellfest Club, and and there was a couple black metal bands, and it was really cool, and it was playing, and so you know, I don't think I would have had that experience. I wouldn't have known about that, in France if I wasn't
Not
wearing
being there. Of course, I agree.
because we are kind of we are a global brother and sisterhood.
I totally,
for sure.
absolutely, I totally agree with that. I've been in metal for a long time. Who do you think is the new legacy band, Aaron? Who do you think we're going to be who we're going to be taking our great grandkids to or grandkids to go and see in stadiums in 20 years time, 30 years time? Is there anyone coming through now that you recognize that could be there or maybe not? I don't know. That might finish.
Uh, um.
That's a big sigh.
Well, it is because I mean, I don't. I mean, I have my answer, but I don't like my answer
Go on then. Come on.
because
Come on.
to me, Sleep Token, sadly.
Yeah. I've had that before. Yeah, I've heard the yeah. I know what you mean.
Sleep Token or Ghost, and I find neither of them to be metal. To me, they're just doomy pop acts in scary costumes, and just because you wear a scary costume doesn't make you metal.
Yeah. Next question. Moving on. Does Florida have the death penalty, Aaron?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay. What would your death row meal be? 3 courses.
Yeah, it would probably be endless sashimi.
Really, just that? No dessert?
Yeah, I love my sushi like that.
Awesome. Right, last one. What's on your book? What's on the band's bucket list or your bucket list that you haven't achieved yet? You've done some great tracks, great albums. You've toured the world, well, a little bit of the world. What haven't you done yet that you really want to do that would be like, yeah, that's fucking cool?
Vakken.
Yeah, Vakken. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be the I mean, I'm not the greatest fan of doing festivals. I mean, we've done festivals, and being a part, it's a freaking nightmare. Usually, dealing with the elements.
I know. It's difficult.
But yeah, for me, but Vakken is, to me, that's the granddaddy of them all. And I mean, if we had the opportunity to at least do that one once, I would say that would, I can step back and go, yeah, okay,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, cool. My last question is, what track should I play next and why from your back catalogue? Maybe a track that sums the band up the best. If someone said, what do Blood of Angels do? And you can say, this is what we do. And you're going to press play. What is the track I'm going to play next, Aaron, and why?
I'm going to go with Minds of the Broken, and the reason for that is that it really kind of signifies currently like the direction where we are musically.
Brilliant. Listen, Aaron, thanks so much. Thank you so much for the chat. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day in sunny Tampa, and I'm looking forward to hearing the album in June.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. This was absolutely awesome. I appreciate it.